Wrestling News CC family, what I'm about to tell you is going to blow your minds. If you thought Monday Night Raw couldn't get any more insane, you were dead wrong. What happened last night has completely turned the WWE universe upside down, and I'm still trying to process the absolute chaos that unfolded before our eyes. Before we dive into this earth-shattering story, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because WWE is moving at breakneck speed right now, and you cannot afford to miss a single moment of this historic storyline. Ladies and gentlemen, Roman Reigns has officially crossed a line that nobody thought he would cross, and the repercussions are going to be felt throughout the entire WWE for months to come. Let me paint the picture for you. Monday Night Raw was already electric with anticipation after everything that's been happening with the bloodline drama and Roman's shocking return. The WWE Universe was on edge, waiting to see what the original tribal chief would do next after making his presence felt in recent weeks. Seth Rollins was scheduled to appear on Raw to address his Money in the Bank briefcase situation and his plans moving forward. Now, for those who might have missed it, Seth has been carrying that briefcase like it's his most prized possession, and rightfully so. That golden ticket represents his guaranteed shot at championship gold whenever he chooses to cash it in. But here's where things get interesting, and this is something that casual fans might not have picked up on. There had been subtle tension building between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for weeks. Little comments, backstage glances, social media posts that seemed innocent but had underlying meanings. The writing was on the wall, but nobody expected what was about to happen. Paul Heyman was also scheduled to be on Raw, which immediately raised red flags for anyone paying attention to the intricate details of WWE storytelling. Whenever Paul Heyman is involved, you know something big is about to go down. The show started normally enough. Seth Rollins came out to a huge pop from the crowd, Money in the Bank briefcase in hand, looking confident and ready to address his future plans. He cut a typical Seth Rollins promo, passionate, intense, and full of that characteristic fire that makes him one of the best talkers in the business today. Seth talked about his journey back to the top, about how the Money in the Bank briefcase represented not just opportunity, but vindication for all the struggles he's faced. He mentioned how he was going to choose the perfect moment to cash in, when it would have maximum impact and guarantee him championship gold. The crowd was eating it up. Seth was in his element, and everything seemed to be going according to plan. But then, Paul Heyman's music hit, and the entire atmosphere in the arena shifted. Heyman walked out with that characteristic smirk, that knowing look that suggested he had information that nobody else possessed. When Paul Heyman has that expression, you know someone's about to get blindsided, and unfortunately for Seth Rollins, he was about to become the target. Paul grabbed a microphone and began speaking in that smooth, calculated tone that has made him one of the greatest managers and advocates in wrestling history. He started talking about loyalty, about family, about the concept of acknowledging one's true tribal chief. What Paul Heyman said next was absolutely devastating, and you could see it hit Seth Rollins like a freight train. Heyman revealed that he had been in contact with Roman Reigns throughout Roman's absence from television. More than that, he claimed that Roman had been orchestrating events from behind the scenes, pulling strings and manipulating situations to his advantage. But here's the kicker, Heyman accused Seth Rollins of being nothing more than a placeholder champion, someone who was keeping the main event scene warm until the real star returned. The disrespect was palpable, and you could see Seth's face turning red with anger as Heyman continued his verbal assault. Heyman went on to say that Roman Reigns never truly lost his position at the top of WWE, that his absence was strategic rather than forced, and that his return would restore the natural order of things. The implication was clear, Seth Rollins and his Money in the Bank briefcase were obstacles that needed to be removed. The crowd was torn between booing Heyman's disrespectful comments and being captivated by the drama unfolding before their eyes. Seth Rollins, to his credit, tried to respond with dignity and fire, defending his accomplishments and his right to be considered among WWE's elite. But you could tell that Heyman's words had gotten under his skin. The psychological warfare was working, and Paul Heyman, being the master manipulator that he is, knew exactly which buttons to push to get the desired reaction. Just as Seth Rollins was building momentum in his response to Heyman's accusations, the unthinkable happened. Roman Reigns' music hit, and the original tribal chief made his way to the ring with a look of cold determination that sent chills through the arena. The crowd erupted, but it wasn't the usual mix of cheers and boos. There was genuine tension in the air, a sense that something truly significant was about to happen. Roman walked down that ramp like a man on a mission, his eyes locked on both Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. When Roman entered the ring, there was a moment of silence that felt like it lasted forever. Three of WWE's biggest stars, all in the same ring, with years of history and complicated relationships between them. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Roman approached Paul Heyman first, and for a split second, it looked like there might be some kind of reconciliation or acknowledgement between them. But then, without warning, Roman grabbed Paul Heyman and delivered one of the most vicious spears we've seen in recent memory. The crowd gasped in shock. Paul Heyman, who has been Roman's advocate and strategist for years, was laid out in the center of the ring. The attack was so sudden and so brutal that even Seth Rollins seemed stunned by what he had just witnessed. But Roman wasn't finished. The look in his eyes suggested that this attack on Paul Heyman was just the beginning of something much bigger and much more destructive. What happened next will go down as one of the most shocking moments in recent WWE history. While Seth Rollins was still processing the vicious attack on Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns turned his attention to the Money in the Bank briefcase that Seth had placed on the announce table. Without hesitation, without negotiation, without any kind of warning, Roman grabbed the briefcase and held it high above his head. The symbolism was clear: Roman Reigns was taking what he believed belonged to him, regardless of the rules, regardless of the consequences. Seth Rollins immediately tried to intervene, but Roman was ready for him. The two former Shield brothers engaged in a brief but intense physical altercation right there in the ring, with the unconscious Paul Heyman lying between them. The visual was striking and disturbing, a family torn apart by ambition and betrayal. Roman got the better of the exchange, hitting Seth with a devastating Superman punch that left him dazed and unable to pursue. With both Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman down, Roman Reigns walked out of the arena with Seth's Money in the Bank briefcase, essentially stealing a guaranteed championship opportunity in broad daylight. The crowd was in complete shock. The commentators were struggling to find words to describe what they had just witnessed. Social media exploded with reactions, theories, and outrage over Roman's actions. This wasn't just theft, this was a declaration of war against the established order of WWE, a statement that Roman Reigns plays by his own rules and will take what he wants regardless of who gets hurt in the process. The immediate aftermath of Roman's actions was absolute chaos. WWE officials rushed to the ring to check on Paul Heyman, who was clearly hurt from that devastating spear. Medical personnel attended to both Heyman and Seth Rollins, while security tried to locate Roman Reigns, who had disappeared into the crowd with the stolen briefcase. But the physical aftermath was nothing compared to the institutional chaos that Roman's actions created. By stealing the Money in the Bank briefcase, Roman had essentially broken one of WWE's most sacred rules, that championship opportunities are earned, not taken by force. WWE management was faced with an unprecedented situation. Do they strip Roman of the briefcase and return it to Seth? Do they allow this theft to stand and fundamentally change how Money in the Bank works? Do they suspend Roman for his actions, or do they acknowledge that he has created compelling television that fans can't stop talking about? The wrestling world immediately began speculating about the long-term implications. If Roman can successfully steal a Money in the Bank briefcase, what's to stop other superstars from simply taking what they want through violence? Has Roman's actions created a dangerous precedent that could destabilize the entire WWE ecosystem? Social media was flooded with hot takes, analysis, and emotional reactions from fans who couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. #Roman steals the case was trending worldwide within hours, and wrestling news outlets were struggling to keep up with the story's developments. Looking ahead, Roman's shocking theft of the Money in the Bank briefcase opens up storytelling possibilities that nobody could have predicted just 24 hours ago. First and foremost, the relationship between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman appears to be completely shattered. That vicious spear wasn't just an attack, it was a statement that Roman no longer needs advisors or advocates. He's taking control of his own destiny. For Seth Rollins, this theft represents the ultimate humiliation and the perfect motivation for revenge. Seth now has a deeply personal reason to go after Roman, and their inevitable confrontation is going to be must-see television. The former Shield brothers are now enemies in the truest sense of the word. But perhaps the most intriguing question is what Roman plans to do with the briefcase. Will he cash it in immediately to regain championship gold? Will he use it as leverage in negotiations with WWE management? Or will he hold on to it as a symbol of his power and his willingness to take whatever he wants? There's also the question of WWE's official response. The company cannot simply ignore such a blatant violation of their rules, but they also cannot ignore the incredible buzz and attention that Roman's actions have generated. This creates a fascinating tension between enforcing rules and capitalizing on compelling storytelling. The ripple effects of this storyline will likely be felt throughout the entire WWE roster. Other superstars will be forced to choose sides or at least react to Roman's actions. Championships become more valuable and more dangerous when someone is willing to simply take them by force. As we wrap up this breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in recent WWE history, I have to acknowledge the incredible storytelling that WWE has crafted here. Roman Reigns' theft of the Money in the Bank briefcase isn't just a plot twist, it's a character-defining moment that establishes him as someone who operates outside the normal rules and boundaries. This storyline has all the elements that make wrestling great: personal betrayal, shocking violence, institutional chaos, and the promise of epic confrontations to come. Roman's attack on Paul Heyman and theft of Seth's briefcase has created multiple storylines that could dominate WWE programming for months. My prediction is that we're heading toward one of the most personal and intense feuds we've seen in years between Roman and Seth, with the stolen briefcase serving as both the prize and the symbol of their conflict. Paul Heyman's role going forward is now completely unpredictable, which adds another layer of intrigue to an already complex situation. WWE has created appointment television with this storyline. Fans are going to tune in every week just to see what Roman does next, how Seth responds, and whether WWE management can maintain any semblance of order in the face of Roman's chaos. What did you think of Roman's shocking actions? Was the attack on Paul Heyman justified? How should WWE respond to the briefcase theft? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing your passionate reactions to these incredible storylines. Smash that like button if this breakdown helped you process the chaos, subscribe to Wrestling News CC for more exclusive wrestling analysis, and ring that notification bell because with storylines moving this fast, you cannot afford to miss a single development. Until next time, this has been Wrestling News CC, and remember, in Roman Reigns' WWE Universe, the rules are whatever the tribal chief says they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.